Hey, welcome back, everybody, to episode 8 of the Progressive Democrats of Howard County podcast, the first episode of the new year. We apologize that it's been a little late, but there's been a lot going on, and that's one of our topics for tonight is one of the super pressing, urgent fights going on in the county dealing with police accountability. You could even say there's a bit of an emergency episode right now. So I am your co-host, Jake Burdett, joined by my other co-host, Hiruy. How you doing, Hiruy?
Hi, Jake. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Like Jake mentioned, I think today is this week is going to be this is an important week as we are approaching the second legislative session of the Howard County Council, and as it so happens, today is the first day of Black History Month, and I think it's a significant moment to discuss this topic that we're going to be talking about. Of course, Black History Month is about celebrating Black history, and at the same time also remembering some of the challenges, a lot of the challenges that the country's African American community has faced and continues to face. And on the challenges topic, I think this particular episode is very relevant, and so we'll go ahead and get started on that. Jake?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about which communities are most adversely impacted by lack of accountable police. Yeah, Black History Month is a great time to talk about this issue. And who better to talk about it and what they're working on right now than the Police Accountability Taskforce of Howard County. We were joined here by several members, as well as our first returning guest of the podcast and the leader of Police Accountability Task Force, Ted Stewart. Ted, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jake and Hiruy, and thanks for inviting me back. I guess what I said the last time was not too bad, so you invited me back for a second time, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't, and my team knows this, I don't particularly call myself the leader of the team. This is all teamwork, and all of the things that we do as a team, and we all have great different talents that we add to the team. So I look at this as a joint effort by all of us, and I'm not necessarily the leader of the group. I did pull the group together back in 2020, but I just let me tell you a little bit about my background, and then we can go to the others on the group in the group. I'm retired. I'm an ex-HR person, and since I've retired, I'm very involved with everything I can do to make Howard County a better community to live in. I've been very involved with Indivisible Howard County, Indivisible HoCo MD, and I'm also very involved with the Police Accountability Task Force of Howard County. I guess I should turn it over to the other groups, let other people on the team and let them introduce themselves, and then we're open to your questions that you might have.
Yeah, and humble guy with Ted, doesn't want to acknowledge his role as the leader of the group, and it is a team effort. And we're joined by another one of the great original team members, Jackie Akinpelu. Jackie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Jake. How are you? Hiruy, thanks for having us. I'm Jackie Akinpelu. As Jake says, I'm one of the original members of the group. I spent really all my career, almost 40 years as a technology leader in a couple of large technology companies. Retired in 2019, ready to travel the world and enjoy my retirement. And then 2020 hit. And then I had to get involved, and I'll say a little bit more about that later, but again, I bring, as Ted has said, we are a diverse group. We have a lot of diverse talents, and all of us bring something different to the group.
Yes, absolutely. And thank both of you for, putting your time in retirement to such noble causes like the one tonight. And last but not least, another member of Police Accountability Task Force, Bill Cozzo. Bill, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, Jake, how you doing? Thanks for having me. Hey, Harry, good to see you again, man. Yeah, I'm a 35-year Howard County resident, moved here after college and raised our family here. Kids went to school here, still live in the county. And, I've had an interest in social justice activities since before I went to college in Philadelphia in the early 80s. I grew up seeing the Frank Rizzo years in Philadelphia, which were not pleasant, and they molded my view of the need for accountability in police forces so that more responsive and less abusive in the community. And I organized with Surge out of Baltimore, showing up for racial justice. But last summer, I saw this Police Accountability Task Force right here in my backyard. And I said, oh, well, that's what I want to do. So I contacted Ted, and they were gracious to have me on. And so, yeah, looking forward to working the issues, one at a time, work them well and work them hard, and keep going. So now it's the Police Accountability Board, Bill, and we're grateful for you guys having us out tonight to talk about it. Yeah,
well, thank you, Bill, and everybody for being on tonight. And I guess now we'll go to some questions for you all. And before we kind of touch on the specifics of the Police Accountability Board, Bill, and your other initiatives, Jackie, if you don't mind, just telling us generally about the Police Accountability Task Force group. What's the origin story? What's your purpose? And why is what you're all doing important for Howard County residents? Oh, you're on mute. No worries.
Yeah, so, last year, 2020 was a horrendous year in American history. It really in some sense, just the culmination of so many negative events in the Black community, right? But George Floyd was really just, the culmination in terms of just such explicit police brutality against people of color. And so it was, I think all of us felt like, we can't just sit around and not do anything, right? We have to get involved. We have to make some contribution to improving the situation with policing in our country. And, we wanted to start local. So in particular, a friend let me know that this guy named Ted Stewart, actually two guys, Ted, because Hiruy was also one of the co-founder of this group. I want to acknowledge him too. We're back in June of last year, we're starting this group on police accountability in Howard County. And, the notion was, we haven't had any of the very explicit violence that we've seen nationwide in Howard County, but Howard County is certainly not immune to issues around policing. And we wanted to get ahead of the curve. We wanted to make sure that infrastructure policies were put in place in Howard County. So in fact, we would not experience the kinds of horrific events that we've been seeing in the news. So again, we came together, a very diverse group of people. Some of us very political, myself not being very political at all, but just feeling like I couldn't sit on the sidelines. And we began to look at, what is happening in Howard County and how can we make a difference in terms of improving transparency and accountability. Of course, with all the attention on policing in the nation last year, the Maryland legislation, was looking at this issue very closely. and passed the Maryland Police Accountability Act. And so that also gave us an opportunity to look at how that act was being implemented locally. So the first big issue that we took on was police body-worn cameras. I think we were very successful in ensuring that police body-worn cameras are going to be implemented in our county this fiscal year, right? And I give a lot of credit to our coalition of organizations that came together behind us to really push the county executive and the county council on that issue. An issue we're still working, by the way, because we also are concerned that the policies that are put in place to support that ensure that police body-worn cameras actually provide the kinds of transparency that we want to see in the county. The issue that we're involved with now, and you'll hear a little bit more about this later, is the implementation of Police Accountability Board. And we've been looking very closely at the legislation that the county executive has proposed and see a number of flaws in that we've been working very diligently to try to address. This work is important because, as I said, citizens can't sit by the sidelines and hope that our elected officials are going to do the right things. We have to be vigilant, we have to be diligent in terms of understanding what's happening in the county and make sure the voices of the citizens of the county are heard. And that is the role that we have sought to play, to be a conduit for the voice of citizens, to let our leaders, our county executive, our county council know, what it is that we want to see in the county around real accountability and real transparency in policing.
All right. Yeah, that's a very thanks for that summary, Jackie, and going through the impetus for pursuing these goals, and related to the Police Accountability Board. Today I sent in an email to the county council and county executive that was that's part of the email campaign that's going on, and it's the concern in part explains that there are certain serious flaws with the Police Accountability Board, and so this email campaign requests some serious reconsideration of the bill, and urges the Howard County residents to contact their county council members and the county executive. So with that being said, Ted, can you explain to the audience what is the status of these campaigns? Where are we at now? What are the pressing issues that the public should be aware of? Ted.
Thank you, Hiruy, and thanks, Jackie, for your mention about our coalition partners, because without our coalition partners, we'd just be a few people talking to the county administration and so forth. But with the backing of our partners and the works of the team, we're hoping to be successful on this particular campaign. So we've had two major campaigns, as Jackie mentioned earlier, the body-worn camera program. We've been working very diligently to make sure that we had a body-worn camera program in Howard County. I was surprised, frankly, myself, that we didn't have one. And so that was actually implemented. Now we're working very closely with the police department, law enforcement, and the state's attorney, Gibson, looking at the policy itself to make sure that that is aligned with the program. Because if you don't have a great policy, the program doesn't have any value. So what I'd like to spend most of my time on today is really the urgency in terms of the status of the Police Accountability Board bill. This bill that was presented by the county executive last year is seriously flawed. As you may know, the Maryland Police Accountability Act was passed in 2021, and that required every county in the state to have a police accountability board this year. So as a result of that bill, the county executive presented a bill to the council, but as I said earlier, this bill is seriously flawed. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the details, but I'm going to just highlight some of the things that are flawed with the bill. Number one, the county executive was requiring that the people on the board would need to sign a confidentiality agreement. We find this totally unacceptable. It would effectively prevent the Police Accountability Board from communicating with the public on matters of police conduct. And we say, well, what's the purpose of the board if they are gagged? They cannot speak. So that's number one. We do not feel that there should be a gag order on the Police Accountability Board members. Number two, the bill has no provisions that would give the Police Accountability Board members access to relevant law enforcement records and recordings. So if they don't have the access to the tools, again, you really take away the ability for the Police Accountability Board to do its job. Number three, the bill required or put in place language that would encourage members of the board to come from law enforcement and county administration employees. Again, it should be a community board, and we should be looking at people on the board that reflect the complexion of the community. And then finally, we want them to have timely access to the records and recordings that they need to be able to do the job. The way it's set up now, it could take 7 or 8 months for them to have access to that information, and we find that unacceptable. The county council, we've been very, I guess, instrumental in making sure that this particular bill was tabled. I guess this is maybe the third time it was tabled, because we felt that the council needed more time to study this matter and to correct the flaws. The bill is coming up for a final vote on February 7th, and we're encouraging everybody listening to us now to participate in an email campaign to urge the county executive to work with the county council to correct the flaws in the bill and to make sure that this bill is not only a bill that creates a board that's a great best practice for Howard County, but we want this bill to be a model for both Howard County, the state, and the country. Howard County is one of the most prosperous counties in the country, and I think it's embarrassing for us to be talking about a bill that is so flawed. And as Hiruy opened up in terms of Black History Month, and it's just something that we should be doing. And this is something that the county executive and all of the county council members should be voting on to make it a better bill, more powerful bill to have a good police accountability board. I also would like to thank Councilwoman Deb Young. She's been very helpful in working with us, allied with us in terms of putting in different amendments. We've also had some very good conversations with Councilwoman Rigby and also Councilwoman Walsh. So we've been working with them, and we're hopeful that we are able to put in the correct amendments to improve the bill and get those amendments passed February 7th. So I encourage you to join our email campaign and support us so that we can have a great police accountability board in Howard County.
Thank you, Ted. Yeah, as I said at the beginning, super important, super timely fight. February 7th, it's February 1st right now. It's less than a week away. So please get on that. So thank you, Ted. And Bill, if you could tell us, what, because, you know, after February 7th, whether, you know, these amendments pass or whatever happens, you know, the police accountability fight does not end. I imagine police accountability task forces activities do not end. So how can people get involved with PATF's efforts?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, all the standard social media ways that we, you know, for the modern world that we live in. We have a website at patf-hoco.com. So it's the letters patf-hoco.com. There'll be links to whatever we're working on at that time, as well as, like, for example, now, you know, we'll have the link to our letter campaign now. It'll also have, you know, a history of other things we've done so people can see what we've accomplished and what we continue to work on at a lower level. You can follow us on Twitter at PATF_HoCo. Again, I'm sure that if you look at our history of tweets, you'll be able to get the link to this action and other activities that we encourage. You know, look for us on Facebook. If various members, folks who retweet or echo our activities. You know, I think there's you know, anyone who's interested, and you know, you can email us also at patf-hoco@gmail.com. So if you have a specific question, we can reach back out and get you whatever answer you need. If you want to get involved in our activities, please, you know, be in touch. Ted could not have said it better. You know, we live in one of the most prosperous counties in the state and in the nation. And if one imagines an improved future where public safety is radically reformed and reimagined and improved, there's no reason why such a well-resourced, relatively low crime community can't be a leader. Let's work out the bugs here so we can really be a model for where it's going to be harder to do this other parts of the country. You know, let's get it right here from the beginning. If we don't get everything we want in this first vote on the February 7th, you know, there's a legislative session in March, and there's another one in April, and there's another one in May, and this goes into effect in July, and then there's another one in August, and there's another one in September, and there's another one in October. So we're here for the long haul. If there are parts of implementing the Police Accountability Board that are missing in this first go round, we'll be advocating for them to be fixed in the future. If the body worn camera program isn't implemented in a way that's really fully effective and necessary, we'll be back asking for changes, bringing the data and holding them, the county council and the executive accountable. There's an election this November. You know, there's going to be public forum. We're going to be there asking questions. And I think that everyone has to, you know, say where they want to be on this and let your voice be heard. So we welcome anyone who wants to help us out. And again, thanks to you two guys for having us out tonight.
Jake, if I may, I forgot to mention, you know, we've been talking with our elected officials at the council level, but we've also reached out to Delegate Atterbury as well. And she was a supporter of the initial bill, you know, the Maryland Police Accountability Act of 2021. So we've been in conversation with her as well to make sure we have the right understanding in terms of what was the intent of the MPAA. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention her name as well. So I wanted to make sure I said that before I ended this podcast.
Thank you. And yeah, she's been great. She, you know, introduced a local bill to remove SROs from Howard County schools as well. And on the topic of giving people credit where it's deserved, you know, Ted, you mentioned community or coalition partners. So did you want to mention, you know, a couple of the organizations that comprise the coalition real quick before we end this out?
Yes, we have, you know, you always get into trouble if you mention one or two and you don't mention the others, but I'll just give you a few. The ACLU of Maryland has been very supportive. Your group has been very supportive. You're a coalition partner. Thank you so much for putting this podcast together. Our Revolution has been very supportive. And what's Stu's organization?
Howard County Citizens Association.
Yes, they've been very supportive as well. But again, you get in trouble when you mention a few, but just wanted to throw out a couple of those names. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's 12 in total. And, you know, I'm glad Bill brought it up, but, I think this is something the county executive and all the council members need to keep in mind, is that this is an election year, and particularly County Executive Calvin Ball, you are going to be in a very tight, close election year. You're not in a position to, shun police accountability advocates. This is really an opportunity for you to win some maybe needed support back in the eyes of progressives. So something to keep in mind for all the elected officials. Yeah, well, anybody else got any final comments?
Yeah, Jake, before we close it out, yeah, just wanted to touch on something that Bill mentioned, in that, I think we're all here, for the long haul on this issue and many other issues. And I just wanted to emphasize, I as Jackie mentioned, I've had, an opportunity to work very closely with the group, and this is a group who is very dedicated, analytical, professional, and very deliberate on how to approach the issues. And I always mention this about community members, community activists. There are a lot of people who operate in good faith, and community activists, and especially this group operates in good faith. And it would be really nice if that good faith is met equally, and maybe even more, by the people responsible for implementing this legislation by the leaders. So hoping that February 7 we see some good results. But if not, I think just to echo what Bill mentioned, that we'll be here for the long haul to make sure that things are improved.
That's right, Harry. We're not going away.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. Please share this podcast, share the link to the Action Network email campaign to email the council members and the executive about passing these must pass amendments on Monday, February 7th. And follow the PATF on all their social media. We'll share it. Follow Progressive Democrats of Howard County on our link tree, linktr.ee/HoCo Progressive. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you for episode 9.